From the new recording lair located deep beneath the wine and spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast. Studio 665 presents Masonic Light Podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons. It is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering. This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
Hey, everybody, welcome. We're at episode 128 of Masonic Light Podcast.
128?
128. Wow.
That's more than 12.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky to have this episode because half the team is on the disabled list, but like a bunch of Lou Gehrig's, they all showed up to play. So our Timmy, he's suffering from COVID, but he's home and he's on the mend, hopefully. Larry has an infection of some sort that we don't want to get into. And Jeff Moyer, our guest, he's sick because he had to get away from deer hunting to go fulfill his Masonic obligations.
Yes.
All righty. So Jeff's going to be our guest tonight. He's going to fill us in on a lot of stuff.
I am.
Well, you're going to explain why you haven't been calling in. So
okay.
That's important.
All right.
But on the business side, you're the number 2 guy in charge of the Valley of Reading. You took some new position at the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania. So we've got a lot to talk about.
You'll always be our number 2, Jeff.
Thank you. At Avis, we try harder. Weren't they always number 2 behind Hertz?
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So Timmy, so what else besides contracting a virus? What have you been up to?
Not much, let me tell you. I did a couple of things right after our last episode. Went to a past master's dinner, and then 2 days later, woke up achy and coughing and thought, this ain't good. And went and got a test, and lo and behold, it was positive. So, and I'm vaccinated, so I can't imagine what this would have been like unvaccinated. It's been a real pain in the tuchus here. It's a huge roller coaster ride on the temperatures. The good news is, as you said, I'm getting better. I can tell I'm getting better. Not having the rest of the
We'll be the judge of that.
I was going to say, you guys can decide that later. Yeah. So really nothing else to report. Talking to secretaries a lot on the phone about Grandview.
How's that going, Tim?
Rand.
Yeah, it's going.
There's some challenges. I think that's the politically correct way to say it.
We're experiencing an interesting conundrum at our lodge because some of the new guys are saying, hey, I need, in order to log in and see the notice, I have to have my member number. Mm-hmm. How do I get my member number? Well,
and
it's on the mailing label that would have been printed out and mailed to you with your notice 3 years ago, but that's not happening anymore. So,
well, when you're required to send via U.S. mail, typically in October, a dues notice to everybody, and we put everybody's member number on that envelope, and we've just made it a standard thing for anybody that gets it via mail. But like you said, not a lot of people are doing that. The other thing is, if you look at your PA Freemason magazine, it's right above your name on the PA Freemason magazine.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That could be handy. Yeah. Now, if I could only find one of those.
Yeah.
So, Jack, what have you been up to?
Well, I had a most wonderful weekend. I had on Saturday last, I drove all the way to Elizabethtown so that I could receive my level 1 Masonic Scholar Award. and they didn't give it to me because I don't know. Yes, Yasser said he thought he read my name and I didn't come up, and I'm like, nah, you didn't read my name. But anyway, so I earned it. I just didn't get it yet. So there you go. And then on Sunday, I was super honored to receive the DeMolay Honorary Legion of Honor Award, and that was spectacular. The ceremony was really beautiful. The young men did a great job. My youngest son and his wife came down from Boston to see it. Well, they came down for other reasons, but they stayed to see it. And the conferring officer was Rick Freeman. And you guys probably, most of you know Rick Freeman, but
yeah.
But my daughter-in-law was certain that he was just speaking extemporaneously. He was just talking and telling it like it is, and here's how it is. And I'm like, no, sweetheart. He memorized that whole thing. And she was just stupefied how anybody could memorize anything like that. But it was great. It was one of the coolest ceremonies I've been involved with since I've been in Masonry. So
Jack, I was at one three years ago, and he did it. It was fabulous. I mean, I wish I could have been there, but I've seen his work.
His delivery was just absolutely superb. Yeah. It was great. And I got an award, a certificate, the thing that they give you, the piece of paper, and it actually has Tyler Moyer's autograph on it.
Ooh.
Ooh. So past guest of the show. So that's been my couple of weeks.
Josh Lamberton, what have you been up to?
Not really too much. Excuse me. I was channeling Larry there for a second. I went to Jack's thing on Saturday or
nice.
Sunday. Other than that, I think I helped out Millersville with Charles M. Howell Lodge with a degree. And
wait, you think you did?
Yeah, I think I was there. I'm not quite sure. No, I definitely did. And that was fun. And that's about it.
Larry Merris, have you done anything?
Yeah, a few things.
Anything you talk about on the show?
Anything you want to share?
The important thing was I attended Tall Cedars Halloween dinner last night, and I go there, and Carol and I are like two goofballs dressed for a Halloween get together.
Well, you're going to be Grand Tall Cedars.
Shorts and a tee. Somebody was there with shorts and a t-shirt and said that they were dressed as hell. That was Butch Ella. He came as a pervert. He was handing candy out to everybody. And the thing last night, the new slate of officers for 2022 were nominated and were accepted on the floor. So yours truly, I guess, when we do November, December, whenever we officially do that, will be a Grand Tall Cedar for Lancaster Forest.
Oh my God!
Larry,
That's an exciting thing.
The world may never be the same.
I demand a recount.
Yeah,
Larry,
I'm not going to mention the numerous freaking phone calls and texts and crap I'm getting with this merger committee stuff. And it's not with the two lodges that are merging, it's outside idiots. So I'm venting here, and if any outside idiot listens to this, I've got your number. Anyway, that's been my week.
Larry, I'll let you in on a little secret. In the secretary world, I cast one vote about 2 weeks ago. So you are, whenever I mail the paperwork into Supreme Forest is when the actual election takes place. So everything else is just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm looking at my calendar here now. So after our last show, I golfed with not the Valley of Harrisburg. I did golf with them the week prior, but this time I golfed with the Harrisburg Forest Tall Cedars. Then the rest of the weekend was the Pennsylvania Grotto Association. where I've passed the torch to Ron Davidson of Pittsburgh. He is the new president of the PGA. It was a great event. We had over 55 people there. Jack had flu-like symptoms and had to go home. That's the code word I used to say for a hangover. So he had fun. The degree was great. We put on this, the Ancient Order of Golden Leaf
and Barley.
Great job. I got a big shout out to Ralph Bacon Poppy. He, as the home grotto, he took upon himself to make arrangements with a hotel, and he really did take a lot of work off my plate, which is very nice. So shout out to Ralph. I did some other things here. Let's see. I went on Tuesday to the Lancaster Lodge of Perfection. I did not see Larry Moyer, or I did not see Jeff Moyer there.
Where?
At the Lancaster Lodge of Perfection, as they put on the.
I was upstate hunting, and I'll try and get there in April.
And for Tim, you know what else I didn't see? I didn't see hardly anybody there from the Valley of Harrisburg.
There was some kind of a conflict.
There was 20-some people from Reading.
I heard it was more than a conflict.
Well, that's all I heard, and I don't want to know anymore.
Yeah,
okay.
No, really. I think messages were sent out late to Harrisburg and Reading.
Right.
Well, Reading was well represented.
They got a phone call the day of.
Oh, okay. And then Wednesday, I went as district deputy to Delco Grotto. They're hanging on by the skin of their teeth. So if you are in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, Delaware County, Chester County, and you want to be in Grotto, you really, and you and your friends could join Delco and just take it over. And it would be perfect.
Majority of 2.
Yes. Let's just say, because they're facing either merging or closing. And a lot of Masonic bodies are facing that right now, but I'd rather that they don't fold. Donnie Erb's service for Tall Cedars, I went to that. And I think that is I went to Grotto on Sunday. And Grotto was uneventful because we only had one candidate present. So we didn't do the degree. So we're going to do the degree in November. So anyway, we're going to ask you, Jeff, what you're up to when we come back. We're going to be a little different because you're up to a lot of new things.
All right.
So we'll take a break and we'll come right back with Jeff Moyer.
Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. From planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate or visit us at georgejgrove.com.
Okay, we're back with past Master Moyer, that voice that begins our show and has begun it. I guess this has gone on 4 years or more. And with his acerbic wit and criticism of me, which basically we do love. We love Jeff, and we're glad to have him back on the show. And he has been really an integral part of the show. He's like the sixth member. But the problem is, if it was really a legitimate sixth member, he'd be on the show more frequently instead of 12 months in some northern part of Pennsylvania, walking in the freaking woods and drinking on a.
Oh, hey, you didn't ask me what I've been doing lately, and I was
okay.
going.
What have you been doing lately?
All right, so I'm gonna go back to late August, Supreme Council in Cleveland. Come home. I went up to my camp. I always go up in September because there's certain jobs that have to be done in preparation for deer season. Came home.
You got to feed the deer?
No, first thing I went to was the Lodge in the Woods. And then that Friday I was at the Prince Edwin Spring Creek Banquet. That was up in Harrisburg. Sunday
That's
night.
a record show. He's reading off a calendar right now.
Yeah.
Just like Tim Dead.
He watches Tim.
Oh my God.
You always have to attend the Rajah gun raffle. That's always the third Sunday in September. Then the following Tuesday, Eddie Stum, he's president of the Lancaster County Scottish Rite Club of the Reading Consistory. We had a dinner meeting at Shady Maple on a seafood night. And let's see. Then at Ubar Grotto on the 26th, the Grand Master was there when our favorite, whoever that guy was, had to make an idiot of himself. Then then right before going up, I was at the Robert Burns Lodge banquet, and then I belonged to Constantine Conclave. We had a dinner on the Wednesday, the 29th. So I was upstate for about a week and a half, came home for 2 days just to mow the grass, pay bills. Came home Sunday, that Reading Monday night for a 32nd degree rehearsal. Last night, our stated meeting. Tomorrow night, a 16th degree rehearsal. Friday night is Union Lodge anniversary banquet in Reading. And then Saturday, I'm spending the day with a bunch of Masons from Berks County. It's not a Masonic group, but it's all Masons. And then I'm heading back up on Sunday. So I've been really busy since late August. One of the reasons I haven't been.
Tell us your title in Scottish Rite. I mean, you're moving up the line. Tell us a little.
I'm First Lieutenant Commander.
Yeah, which means what? Next year you're what?
2 years.
It's a 2 year. So it's 2 years as Second Lieutenant Commander. Then you move up to First Lieutenant Commander, which is 2 years. June 1st of 2023, I'll be Commander in Chief, and that's 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So May 30th of 2025, it's going to be no to everything. No. I'm going to need a break because I've been serving in some capacity in this fraternity since 1996, nonstop, and sometimes in multiple roles. So,
well, now you say that, but you were at a Grand Lodge meeting and someone looked at you and you looked back and now you're doing that too. Tell us about that.
Which Grand Lodge meeting? What are you talking about?
It's, you made contact with your eyes.
Oh, you mean for this latest appointment?
Yeah.
No, that happened. That happened at a reunion at the Valley of Reading. Tom Gammon, he wasn't Grand Master. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, do you have a minute to talk?" And I'm thinking, this doesn't sound good.
Never good.
We go off to a private area. He says, we're looking they wanted to replace Russ Baker as Assistant Grand Marshal and appoint him an aide to the Grand Master. He said, "Would you consider serving?" I said, "Well, let me tell you something. I'm not going to say anything because I have to go talk to Sue. Because back in 2003, I made a huge mistake. I got a call from Bill Arnold, who was the regional instructor for Region 2. And he called me on a Saturday and he said, "Hey, I'm taking this job with Grand Lodge. Would you want to take over as regional instructor?" And I said, yes. Sue came home later that day. To this day, she busts my chops. "You never talked to me first." So I made sure that when Tom asked me to serve in that, talk to her, and she was fine with it. So she gets to travel with me to a lot of the functions, and she enjoys it.
Just in case there's any conspiracy theorists that worry about us taking over the world, we can only take over the world if our wives approve. So
yes.
We just have to know that.
And if they plan the pancake breakfast.
Correct.
So tell us about your role as aide to the Grand Master. And
I'm assistant Grand Marshal.
Okay.
So when there's an anniversary banquet, most times a lodge just has a banquet. So my function is I make sure that the head table is set up correctly. And then the big thing, my main job is the Grand Master's book, the notebook, make sure that all the Grand Lodge people are in there. They're checked off, crossed out, names added. Sometimes there's a special meeting prior to the banquet, which Robert Burns did. And I have to come in and announce the Grand Master. And then we process in. And then when it's time to leave, I call the titles of the positions out to recess. Again, at those special meetings, I have to make sure the names are in the book. So when you know how we have to introduce everybody in the lodge room. But we're not as bad as Tall Cedars.
Oh my God.
So I have a question for you. I've heard from multiple Grand Masters that it's kind of a rule that if the Grand Master is holding an alcoholic beverage for whatever reason, you are under no circumstances allowed to photograph it. Is there like a Grand Lodge linebacker there that is assigned to tackle anybody with a? That's
what the aides do. That there's multiple aides there, and they make sure that doesn't happen. And most Grand Masters they know not to have a beer. Yeah, they don't do that. You know, right. They might have something, a drink before a banquet, maybe. It just depends, but no, for the most part they don't. The aides.
This is why.
Go ahead.
This is why God created the red Solo cup, so that no one needs to know what's in it. It's just a cup. That's all we need to know.
Or a Yeti cup.
Or a Yeti.
So tell us a little more about the. So I actually made it to my first Valley of Reading meeting the other night. There was always a conflict because of Tall Cedars, but I under the direction of Ed Stum, he said, you're getting high enough in the line now that the Valley needs to become the priority. And he just kind of like left it vague like that. So I really enjoyed the business meeting. And so in do you have your 2 years planned out already? Do you get to have any initiatives kind of like how a worshipful master does for his lodge?
Yes. Actually, Sue and I are just starting to plan. We go to Supreme Council in Louisville in August of 2023. So she contacted Churchill Downs. The Valley always has a dinner the Tuesday night of Supreme Council. So the nominees receive their 33rd degree on Tuesday morning, and then all the Valleys go out to dinner on their own. So we're trying to plan a dinner at Churchill Downs.
Tim almost broke his neck when you said Churchill Downs. Did you see that happen? Tim's head just popped right up, and he was like, "What? Churchill's up? What?"
Tim, you're going to have to talk to the guys in Harrisburg. Moyer can't bestow that honor on you.
I am already working with the Harrisburg guys, playing some fun stuff for them.
All right, is Churchill's Downs a nice venue?
It is. You'll enjoy it.
So we're just starting to plan that. I have to plan a Saturday night dinner, but the other nights, for the most part, the members that go out, they're on their own. I do want to plan a couple of. I'm not going to plan them. I'm going to come up with a list of river cruise. You can go to Maker's Mark for a tour. This is what it's cost, because I'm not going to be setting up this stuff and collecting money, because I'm tired of herding chickens. But I am working on Louisville. The other thing I started working on when you're a commander in chief, you have a total of 4 reunions, and you have to have an honored guest. So just yesterday, I got a response back that Jeff Wunderling accepted to be honored guest at our November reunion in 2023. So I have to work on 3 more. The other thing the Valley does, which when you're a presiding officer, everybody complains about this. In our Valley newsletter, you write a message. So I think I have to write 10 or 12 in 2 years. I just started writing some of those. So I'm trying to get a jump start on some of that stuff. But there's executive committee meetings, got to run 33rd dinners. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that goes on when you're going through the consistory line, more especially when you're commander in chief.
In that rarefied air up there where you're not.
Hey, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just, I never considered myself any better than anybody else in this fraternity.
We haven't either, Jeff. Don't worry.
Thank you. Keep putting me in my place.
Hey, Jeff, one quick personal question. When you were up in September doing your chores to get the camp ready, did she go with you?
Did who?
Your wife, Sue.
No. You broke up. No, she doesn't go up. She used to go up with me, but now that I'm retired, when I go up for at least a week, and she doesn't want to spend that much time up there. So,
I thought she wasn't going up there since the incident.
The incident, which one? There's been so many.
the one when you were on the roof with the hose.
Oh Jesus! I was just telling my brother and uncle were up there last week, and I was telling that story. We can't do that here on the air.
All right, let's take a quick break.
I won't forget. That's a good one.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to hear more from Jeff.
At the Historic Smithton Inn of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, we're pleased to serve the latest creations from Weathered Vineyard Winery, along with spirits from Thistlefinch Distillery in Lancaster, all to be experienced in the tasting room of a beautifully restored 18th century bed and breakfast. Cigars by D&S Cigar are available for your enjoyment in the courtyard. The Historic Smithton Inn is convenient to Lancaster County's most interesting attractions. Just minutes from the Ephrata Cloister and the Green Dragon Farmers Market, and a short drive can get you to charming Lidditz, thriving downtown Lancaster, as well as Hershey, Bird in Hand, and Intercourse, or Valley Forge and Gettysburg. Whether you're looking for a romantic getaway or an active vacation full of sightseeing and attractions, the Historic Smithton Inn will be a welcoming oasis from everyday life, one that you'll want to visit again and again. Stop in and visit at 900 West Main Street in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, or check out our website at historicsmithtoninn.com, or simply call us at 717-733-6094. Just ask for Past Master Dave.
All right, we're back with Past Master Moyer, and we were doing some reminiscences of some personal stuff, which you won't get to hear. But if to Jeff, he might email. That's Master Moyer in care of Masonic Light Podcast. One of the things I wanted to talk about too is the fact that Pete was right. We haven't had any phone calls from you lately, and believe it or not, there are people who talk to me that miss it. Why? I have no idea. So, are you going to be calling back in?
Yeah, when I'm back here, once hunting season's over and I'm home where I have internet service, because I don't have anything up there, and I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I plan to start calling in. Last night at the Valley dinner, prior to the meeting, I know the guy, but I can't remember his name. And he's like, "How comes you don't call in anymore? How comes you don't call?" I have a number of people, so I need to do it. It's just that this fall it's just been crazy. And, it's getting harder and harder to pick on you, Larry. So you got to start doing even more. You have to start doing even more dumb stuff. Give me some material to work with.
Okay, I'll do that.
Well, after the meeting, Jeff, at least 4 different Scottish Rite brothers came up to me to ask me about how to listen to the podcast. So,
good.
If our Valley of Reading audience is going to expand, you really need to step it up.
Yeah, maybe I'll get kicked out of the line.
In this day and age, when somebody has to ask, how do you listen to a podcast? Oh, God bless them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Larry, if you didn't record one, you wouldn't know either.
No, I think I listened to podcasts. Pete and I listened to that other podcast.
We listened to one episode and then we arrogantly said we could do this.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned
128 episodes later.
You mentioned that last night, Pete. Now, what was that? I didn't catch that thing, the funnel. What did you call that? Marketing funnel?
So for the audience, if you haven't figured this out, I'm really ADHD. And I was asked if I could be a speaker at this meeting. And I figured it was tacky. They said, talk about whatever you want. So my typical topics are grotto or tall cedars. I thought it's kind of tacky to try and sell people on a different Masonic body while you're a guest at, Scottish Rite. So I talked about the podcast. Well, part of me doesn't like talking about myself so much. I like talking, but just not about myself. So I try to expand it. And we did a thing on the air a while back where we had the 5 aspects of Freemasonry and why people join the fraternity. So with the sales funnel, in sales, and Jack will know this, the idea is there's a funnel and you put your leads in the top and you just hope that somehow, some way, out of the bottom, these sales magically come out. But the funnel is defective and there's all these holes in it and it's too expensive or I don't have enough time, blah, blah, blah. All these reasons why people don't buy. So if we take that and apply it to Freemasonry, I was kind of thinking, we've got these master masons that joined and we're tossing them into this funnel. But, what we do when we try to market, say, Scottish Rite to a master mason, we're grabbing these guys that we see everywhere. They're the suckers like us that can't say no. We're talking to the overachiever active masons. But there's a whole ton of masons out there that are inactive. So maybe, there's a 28-year-old guy and he wanted to make friends and he wanted fellowship and he joins this lodge and he's the youngest person by 30 years. He gets done his meeting, his joining, and nobody talks to him. So he doesn't find the fellowship he's looking for. So best case scenario, he stays a Mason and just pays his dues and never shows up. Or he tells everybody about his bad experience and demits from the Masons. But, I think what we need to do is as Scottish Rite Masons or Grotto Masons or Tall Cedar Masons is find some of these master masons that are not finding what they're looking for. So somehow, I don't know whether that came across, but that was my point of the sales funnel. We need to figure out a way to latch on to some of these guys early. And if they want something historical or they like acting, Scottish Rite's a great place for them. But if they're looking for that and they're in a Blue Lodge in Perry County, Pennsylvania, where the same guy's probably been Worshipful Master 5 times, he doesn't have the energy to try and steer this person the right direction. So I just think we all need to do a better job of steering Masons towards what their interests are. So if they want to learn about more esoteric and history stuff, the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania has got a great Master Builder program. The Hawk Rod Academy for Scottish Rite. There's things out there, but these guys at some of these Blue Lodges, they're not finding something and they just stop coming out. So that was kind of my point.
Yeah.
Anybody got any feedback on that? Not that you heard it, but
Yeah.
I've been saying it all along. You've got to identify the new candidate and why he joined, and then direct him towards that thing. But whether that's Scottish Rite or York Rite or something else, first you have to know him well enough to identify what he's looking for.
Yeah.
And if you see him once a month for 10 minutes before the meeting starts, That ain't going to do it. So I don't know. It's a whole different world.
I think the key is through the mentoring programs. You have a quality mentoring program for new guys coming in. It will not only induct them well into the Blue Lodge, but you can have those conversations and learn those things about why they joined. What are their interests? Let them. One of the things that, because of COVID, we've seen the guys that were kind of stuck with their degree work have formed a really cool bond. And now they've helped share that with other new guys coming in. They see the experience they had with that. And they've become the leaders of kind of the new guy caucus.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
And also don't think that a lot of the old guys that have been sitting on the sidelines can't contribute something. I've been a Mason for 48 years, and I'll be doing my first leadership role in any body in 48 years. So it's again, we can't help. Even like I said, a lot of the older people who may not have done anything, but may have skills that come out. So
Larry,
and don't quit on any of the brothers.
Larry, is this your first merger?
Yeah.
Oh, that's new.
Probably, yeah, and probably not my last either.
So, I made one little snarky comment last night. I probably shouldn't have, but it wasn't meant maliciously. Like, if somebody in Masons asks me to do something, I generally do it. And, I said jokingly, I joined the Valley of Harrisburg in 2001, and nobody really ever interacted with me. They're nice guys. I golf with them. I know lots of them. I know Tim. If somebody would have just mentioned to me, hey, we'd really love if you could come and help us out in the 4th degree next month. If I make eye contact, I say yes. So sometimes all you have to do is ask somebody and you've got them. And
right. What tends to happen, though, is that general email goes out. If anybody could please kind of sort of help me with this thing that, you're not going to get a response like that.
Right.
You have to identify the guy and say, hey, I need you to be this character in this degree. There's 4 lines. You're going to be great. Come and do it with us.
Yeah. Well, in the Valley of Reading, Herb Swisher just sends out a postcard and says, you're going to be in the 6th, 16th, and 32nd degrees. If you can't be, call me.
Right.
Well, and a bad first impression is incredibly difficult to overcome because, Pete, you mentioned, 2001?
Yeah.
So fast forward 20-some years later, 20 years. The Valley of Harrisburg, I would say you probably would get a very different experience today than you got 20 years ago.
Agreed. I've had a ton of fun up there lately.
Yeah, but again, bad experiences in the past make it even more challenging to get guys connected.
Right. That's true.
I won't even say it wasn't a bad experience. It's just I had no experience.
Right.
Yeah. If somebody would have been with you. Now, when I joined the Lodge of Perfection in Lancaster in April '96, and it was the same thing in May the next month when I joined Harrisburg. They're constantly, we need help speaking parts. This, I'm like, no, I'm never going to do this. This is the wrong person. So I shut up. I don't make any eye contact. Well, after the reunion in Harrisburg in May, like a month or two later, there was a guy in our lodge, Dick Bracco, 33rd, great guy. And he was one of those guys you couldn't say no to. So he comes up to me, I don't know, a month or two after joining Harrisburg, and he says, you're going to do the part of young Joseph in the degree. And I'm like, okay. So I did it, and I loved it. And ended up doing, I think we used to do the 28th at Harrisburg. I forget. In Harrisburg at that time, it was a Thursday and Friday reunion, so you're 2 days off of work. But I liked Harrisburg. I know a lot of people there, but I'll never forget that sitting as a candidate. No way am I going to do this. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. And then a few months later, you're going to do this part. And sometimes I guess that's the approach you have, like you said with Herb. If you can't do it, let me know.
Well, that's what they call in the sales funnel. They call that the assumptive close.
Right.
You just assume they're going to do it, and then they have to.
But, and also, I mean, I've probably seen the 30-second live 4 times, 5 times, and I've probably seen the video 2 or 3 times. Sitting on stage and reading through it, I actually got a way better understanding of it than watching it.
Yeah.
Like, it just kind of, I mean, the beauty of that degree kind of hit me differently than it ever did before. So, I mean, I encourage anybody to get involved, and there's no judgment. There's a handful of great actors, but the vast majority of us are terrible. But we try.
I didn't know too much on Monday night, Pete, but the camaraderie, which is code word for ball busting, and our rehearsals are hilarious. You're just hilarious. But then the day of the reunion, everybody gets serious. That's what I love. I love the rehearsals. I love rehearsal season in the spring and the fall.
Speaking of that, I'm going to need the 6th and 16th at some point because I don't have them. So if some magical email fairy could help me out, I would appreciate it.
You know what? I'm going to send an email right now as we're talking.
Okay, sounds great.
Bet somebody somewhere is doing it.
So,
I bet somebody somewhere is going to get told to do it right about now.
you said 6th and the 16th.
Yeah, I don't think I have any lines, but I kind of would like to, know where I'm supposed to stand.
Yeah.
Larry, you're in a degree, aren't you?
Yeah, 17th again.
Okay.
And I'll be working the backstage crew.
Larry can't lift anything, but he's in stage crew.
Yeah. Oh, they have a lot of things on the wheels that I can wheel out there. And then they give me the diagram and the pictures, and I stand there like I think I know what they're doing. But
put a hard hat on and clipboard like PennDOT.
I'm kind of like backstage mascot, to be honest with you.
Moral support.
Yeah, but it's a great. It's like you said, Pete, and like Jeff just said, it's the camaraderie. It's the fun. There's a lot of fun that goes on backstage. It's a hoot.
I told my wife when I came home last night, I said I kind of felt like the Scottish Rite is like grown-up Freemasonry. I don't know whether that's accurate or not, but that was just kind of my impression. It was just, you're just if you take a leadership position there, you just have to do it. You're just assumed you're going to do it. Whereas in Blue Lodge, you got to run out there and herd your deacons and your wardens, and they kind of feel like they're just like pinch hitting. Whereas when you get in the Scottish Rite, if you take a role, they're expecting you to just take it and run with it. Hey Tim, why don't you thank our patrons while we're at it?
All right. Well, we greatly appreciate our patrons for supporting this podcast. I think we do a listing of them online recently.
Yeah, I've got it right here in front of me. How magical that you asked about it.
Isn't that something? The thing that was fascinating to me was the guy that contributed, what was it, $2.18 or something like that?
I think he's in a foreign country, and somehow that's what it translates to.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't need to worry about that if you're in the United States, because for as little as $1 a month.
$1 freaking dollar.
Just $1.
Peso.
Honestly. Come on now.
If you want to contribute more, you can do that. But you can be a patron and you can keep us on the air with great content like past Master Moyer and all of the great guests we have. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/Masonic Light Podcast.
And if you're listening, we did not sell those nice microphones that you bought us because of the COVID situation and everybody not feeling well. We're doing this remote on Zoom, so we sound like crap tonight. But hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll be back at the studio again with nice quality equipment that you guys helped pay for. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing
And by the way, Tim, with patrons, if somebody wants to make a designated gift to Masonic Light Podcast, like if they want to buy us a microphone for $300, or they want to buy us flyers for like $30 or something like that,
I would never want to do that.
Designate what you would want us. We're do that, and also too, let's talk about planned giving.
What?
Put us
Hey, Merris, you're the guy closest to doing planned giving.
We'll take it.
We're setting up an annuity that we're.
Yeah,
Listeners, you could go onto Larry Merris's OnlyFans page.
Oh man, that's
Larry. If you make the donation now, you can write it off in your tax return. So
that depends.
Until it hurts.
It depends on what laws are passed in Congress. Oh, geez.
Right.
Don't you know break, isn't it?
You have no more questions for me, Larry. I'm disappointed.
No. Get out.
Let's take another break. I know we've got some news coming up, and we've probably got some more sponsors to hear from. We greatly appreciate our sponsors as well. And we will come back and wrap up with Jeff Moyer.
As far back as the mid-1800s, records exist describing the pre-meeting tradition of brethren smoking cigars during and after gatherings. To this day, the practice of smoking cigars remains very much alive in many lodges. This custom is considered a time for brethren to relax, exchange ideas, and enjoy the simplicity and fellowship that is the very essence of our brotherhood. This is what Hiram Solomon Cigars is all about. Our starting principles are to bring Masonic brethren together in the harmony of a good cigar. Pull up a chair, sit back, light up any of our premium cigars, and enjoy the history. Hiram Solomon Cigars can be found at fine cigar retailers. For a complete list, visit HiramandSolomonCigars.com or check them out on social media to find out when they'll be at a live event near you. Hiram Solomon Cigars is pleased to be the official cigar of the Masonic Light Podcast.
Hello, brethren. Dutchie Doug is back with an update from my lodge, the Brogan Pla number 377. Well, it is now October. The air is crisp, the darkness comes earlier, and all of our homes in our valley have pumpkins and mums on their front porches. Some families have those blow-up Halloween decorations in their yards. The first time my wife came home and said that we should buy a blow-up, I was quite surprised, and I quickly learned that her idea of a blow-up and mine were two different things. In any event, October brings, as we say in Pennsylvania Dutch, Spookenzeit, or ghost time. And this provides me the perfect opportunity to tell all of you out there in podcast land about the famous ghost story associated with our lodge. So sit back, grab a cup of apple cider, and hold on to your overalls. All new members to our lodge learn very quickly about our resident ghost. Many of the brethren think that we're just pulling their leg, trying to scare new members. But we are serious. More than once have we been sitting in a lodge meeting and funny, unexplainable things have happened. And every time they do, we all mumble under our breaths, Brother Geist. Yep, Brother Geist, as in past master Josiah Geist. It was the fall of 1858 in our little valley. Our lodge was still in its infancy. The worshipful master at the time was Brother Josiah Geist, and according to our records, there was never a more faithful brother than Josiah. he never missed a meeting, learned all of the degrees, and moved through the chairs as quickly as was possible at that time. Brother Josiah lived at the far end of our valley, which meant a long and arduous journey via horseback to lodge. Many miles he would have had to ride in all weather just to get to lodge, and from all accounts, he never complained about the trek. The year he became master, he quickly set about to have the best year for not only himself, but for the whole lodge. Month after month, new members were brought in. Apparently, we were in a friendly competition with the next lodge over the way to see who could bring in the most new members in the year. Brother Josiah and his officers were holding up their end of the competition, and by October were within smelling distance of the lead and potentially the win. At the October meeting, we had 5 candidates prepared to be made Master Masons. This number was going to cement our lead and our victory. Brother Josiah was determined. The week leading up to the meeting, his dear wife Rebecca had come down with scarlet fever. She had been bedridden and was battling the illness. The night of the meeting, she had taken a turn for the worse. Josiah was torn as to whether to stay home and be with his wife or attend lodge. Rebecca whispered to him, "Don't go, not tonight. Stay by my side." His greed for winning the competition got the better of him, and he decided to go to lodge. He kissed his ill wife's forehead and told her that he would be his home as soon as possible. Off he rode to lodge, conferred the degrees, and made 5 new Master Masons. His job was done. Home he rode with a broad smile and a firm belief in the lodge's victory. When he arrived home, something in the house had changed. As he climbed the stairs, a cold chill ran down his spine. He cracked the bedroom door open. The oil lamp was no longer lit. He could see his wife's body on the bed under the quilt that she had made last winter. He went over to share the good news of the meeting with her, but was met with a cold, blank stare. Yes, Rebecca had passed this earthly realm while he was at lodge. No one was there to be with her in her final moments. Brother Josiah fell to his knees asking God for forgiveness, all while holding his deceased wife's lifeless hand. Brother Josiah was never the same after that event. He continued coming to lodge, but he no longer did any of the work and stepped down from any leadership position. He would die a few years later. Not long after his death, strange things started to happen in our lodge room and have been happening ever since. All of us believe that it is Brother Josiah's tormented spirit. We hear him when we call off from labor to end a meeting. You can often hear the sound of a gavel knocking. I believe that that is Josiah trying to end his meeting so that he could get home in time to be with his wife before she died. Anytime I feel Josiah's presence in the lodge room, I often become quite melancholy and say a prayer that he could find the peace that he so longs for. If Brother Josiah's story has taught me anything, it is what we as Masons are always told. Family first, Freemasonry second. Remember that, my dear brothers, as you journey on in our great fraternity, so that none of you will ever have to knock your ghostly gavel in dread. Till next time, work hard, stay plumb, and out in the lights when you leave the room. To learn more about the Pennsylvania Dutch language, culture, and history, please visit my website, padutch101.com, or my YouTube channel. Just search Doug Maidenford.
In Masonic news today, it has been reported that the Grand Lodge of Georgia finally recognized the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Georgia. While this reporter has written and thrown out several awful jokes about time and progress, let us consider where we are and whither we are going. Congratulations, Georgia, and welcome to this, our 21st century. That's the Masonic news, so moted to us.
Oh, jeez.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the 20th century.
Yeah, really.
Or 19th, maybe.
That was outstanding, Walter.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So maybe Jeff, you might know this. What do you know the deal with the Grand Lodge? Since us and Prince Hall in Pennsylvania, we do see eye to eye on things. If there's like Shrine, they have their own shrine. We have our own shrine. If they do not have their own version of Tall Cedars, can their members join our Tall Cedars or our Grotto?
Well, that's a good question. I don't see why not, because we are recognizing them.
I think it would be any Master Mason in amity with.
Yeah, I think it's what it is. The word amity popped in my brain. Yeah,
but I don't know. I could be.
It may be a situation of where I don't know. I was going to say maybe their Grand Lodge limits what other organizations they can be a part of. I mean,
yeah, we need to get an official from Prince Hall on the show. I think that's a good job for you, Tim.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Yeah,
because I just really think for like Grotto and Tall Cedars, because there's no competition on their side.
Yeah.
128 episodes later, maybe having somebody on from Prince Hall would be a good idea.
Yeah.
We talked about it.
You're not equating us with
Aaron
Georgia.
on earlier, but he's not a Pennsylvania Prince Hall Mason.
No, that's true. That's true.
Now, if I remember correctly, the Lancaster Masonic Center or the Masonic Center Lancaster, I'm not sure what the official title is, that was the first center where a Prince Hall Blue Lodge started to meet. I mean, that's in the mid to late 90s.
Met in the same building as a traditional Blue Lodge. Yeah, I believe they're correct.
And I know when I was going through the line, we always invited their officers to our annual banquet, and they always came. Now, I've never attended one of their meetings. One of their members spoke at one of our stated meetings, but I'd like to go to a stated meeting. In fact, I was just talking to my brother about it last week, because there's one in Allentown, and he said they're a great group of guys, and I hear wonderful things about them, but I've just never been to a meeting.
I went to a Master Mason degree in Lancaster one night, and I think I was junior warden of Lamberton Lodge at the time. And it was kind of cool because they had any visiting masters sit in the east next to the master. Any visiting senior warden sat next to the senior warden, et cetera. And I don't know, it was just really neat. It was like you really made a guest feel welcome. And the degree, they just did a heck of a job with the degree. And I think kind of like a local legend, he's passed on now, but an elderly Nelson Polite.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He gave the lecture to all the men as they got the degree, and it was beautiful. He sat there like with a trestle board, like it's it's the whatever you call it. It's not the Pennsylvania way of doing things.
It's the Webb Preston. Yeah. Yeah.
It was very, very interesting watching him lecture these men, and he just looked like a college professor doing it. Yep. And it was amazing.
All right. So, Brother Jeff, what have you got coming up in the next couple of weeks besides hunting?
Well, I think I mentioned earlier, rehearsal Thursday night, banquet Friday, Masonic function, semi-Masonic function Saturday. But then when I come back November 14th, more rehearsals are the Valley of Readings reunion is on Saturday, November 20th. And then on Sunday, November 21st, the appointed Grand Lodge officers are holding a appreciation lunch for the outgoing Grand Master. It's something floor officers have done for years, and I just found that out a few weeks ago. So looking forward to that. And then after that, we're pretty much done for the rest of the year till the annual Grand.
Is it true there may not be a Christmas thing here?
Oh, Holiday Happenings was canceled.
It was canceled. Okay.
The Train Club said they would set up the trains, but they didn't want to be there with large crowds running them. But they are going to have the Tuba Christmas the first Saturday in December. And that's open to the public, and it's free. And I believe the first time you visited as Masonic Light Podcast, they were holding that Tuba Christmas.
Yeah, that was great. We actually recorded some of the music.
So there's nothing great Saturday in December, Jeff.
Pardon?
First Saturday in December.
Yes.
Okay.
If I get home from upstate, I said to Sue, why don't we run over? Because I've never actually sat in the auditorium and listened to them. I've been out in the lobby and heard them, but I would like to actually sit in an auditorium seat and listen to them.
And Jeff, while we're going to be on stage for the on November 20th, your wife and the ladies' auxiliary will be at Kitchen Kettle Village in Lancaster learning how to make whoopie pies.
Yeah, I believe she gave you a handout last night.
She did, and I gave it to my wife. My wife was like, I have nothing on my counter, so I guess I can't say no.
Well, it's Sue is, I forget what position she's in the ladies' auxiliary. She's not going to go to president, but I don't know what she is, first or second vice president, and her responsibility is planning a function or whatever, entertainment the day of the reunion. And so she got a hold of Kitchen Kettle, and then TJ Quinn is involved. He has an intermediary handling it, but he knows what's going on. So they don't have the restaurant open, but they're taking private parties. So I think they're up to 15 people. Sometimes one year they went on that in the Reading at Berks County, there's a railroad, Blue Mountain Railroad. Yeah,
Blue Mountain Railroad. Reading and Blue Mountain.
And then they went, I don't know where they went shopping. All I know is usually those Saturdays cost me money. So I look forward to the reunions, but then I don't want to see the receipts.
Nice.
Jack, how about you? What do you got coming up?
Not too much. Just same old. Meeting with the candidates Monday nights and doing the Masonic thing. Nothing really major on the schedule.
Cool. Well, I've hopefully got a stated meeting coming up next week on Monday. Assuming the temperature leaves, I've got to be 24 hours clear of a temperature and having taken no Tylenol to prevent it. So hopefully that will occur in the next couple of days, and I'll be back to my Masonic activities. We've got the Harrisburg Lodge of Perfection coming up on the 12th, and then our reunion is the 19th and 20th of November. So that's pretty much on my schedule for now. Josh, how about you?
We got the stated meeting for Lamberton coming up, and I think the following Thursday we'll have a couple of degrees we'll be doing. But other than that, I think, I think that's it.
Cool. All right, Pete?
I've got a lot. I'll be with Jeff tomorrow for the learning about the 16th degree. I have no idea what my part is, but I don't think I have a speaking part. Saturday, I'm driving up to Connecticut for the new grotto in Long Island called Liar Grotto is being constituted. So I'm going to be going up there, and I don't know, whatever I'm supposed to do there, I'll be doing it. We've got, I'll come back. We've got Junto Council, and our good friend George March will be the new Sovereign Master. I look forward to that. He was a guest on our show. And Tall Cedars Executive Board, which I will be at, and I will not be at the 6th degree rehearsal. Larry and I are meeting tomorrow morning to talk about his year as Grand Tall Cedar. And then the Grand Tall Ball for York Forest is November 6th. Anyway, I got a lot of crap. I think every other day is something in the Masons.
It is that time. So Larry, how about you? What do you got coming up?
Pete, told you what I have coming up. So Josh told you also the stated meeting next Tuesday and all the stuff that Pete just mentioned. Busy week.
Larry, when are you Grand Tall Cedar?
Beginning, I guess, December.
December.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're going to come to a meeting?
Yeah, just to harass you.
I figured that.
Bring a Grand Lodge officer so Larry has to do something he doesn't know how to do.
Oh, that'd be great.
Hey, let me put it like this. No, I won't do it. No, I'm sorry. I'll do that when we're not doing when we're not recording the show.
All right. Well, I hear some chickens in the background, Larry. So he's out of here.
Yeah, time to. Yeah, exactly.
Alexa,
Time
play
to feed the
chickens.
Special thanks to Effort Lodge 600 for allowing us to meet in the beautiful studio underneath the Wine and Spirit store. Also, thanks to Josh Leiter, our producer and director, for always making a great show. Yeah, in spite of how we screw things up. Also to Jack Harley, our news director, and Tim Devman, our marketing director, along with Michelle Snyder and Douglas Maddenford, our Masonic Light podcast contributors. And I want to close the show just one thing tonight.
Oh, God.
Listener, his name is Josh Slaughter. That's Slaughter. He's a truck driver. And he listens to all of our shows while he's driving and working. And we got a note from him, and Pete and I corresponded with him. He said, old man, he said, Larry, I found out about you guys back in late August and have binged your show from episode 1. I'm all caught up, and honestly, I think you guys have crushed it. He thinks we have crushed it since day one. It's like sitting around a dinner table before a lodge, and I love it. Slaughter, be careful out there when you hear your name in your radio and you're driving. Please, just be careful. But we're glad to have you as one of our listeners.
You're here.
Merris, thanks for listening to Masonic Light Podcast.
All right. Well, good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Night.